Hi, Rick Roller here. I'm at the beautiful Iberostar in Playa Mita in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. But I wanted to take a few minutes and share with you some things that are extremely important. This training I call by a very simple title, Hit the Bricks Running, because I know that getting a good start in real estate, in your real estate career, just blasting into it, is the way to go. Why? Because if you want to be Rookie of the Year, you need to start from day one. If you want to have a successful career, you need to start from day one. You need to hit the bricks running. So I'm going to share with you 4 things that you need to do, you can do, and you need to do while you're in real estate school to get starting so that you will hit the bricks running. You ready? Okay, get out a pencil and paper and write these down, because these are so important for you to get started. Now, seriously now. So number one, you have to build your SOI list. You have to build your list of people you know. You start with your friends, your family, your acquaintances, people maybe you've done business with in the past, people you currently do business with. If you're coming from another profession, take that customer list and add them in there. And you need to put this list together, because this will be the list that you will be promoting to initially. You see, it's important to have someone to promote to when you start in the business. And so putting this list together is so important. You know, I work with a lot of agents. As you know from my other trainings and videos, I've created 8 Rookie of the Years besides being a Rookie of the Year myself. And it was my pleasure, my privilege to mentor these people and get them where they wanted to be. And of course, their success is due more to them than it was to me, because they had to go out and do the work. But nevertheless, I was there to mentor them, to tell them what to do, to invite them into doing things that would help them, like I'm inviting you into doing this here today. So, this first thing, you've got to put together your SOI list. And now, I work with a lot of agents that have kind of stalled out in their career as well. People that are into their career in 2 years, 3 years, and they've kind of hit a plateau. They can't quite break through that glass ceiling to get to the next income level. You know, they haven't hit 6 figures yet, or they have hit 6 figures, but they want to do multiple 6 figures. And they've come to me, and I've mentored them. And unfortunately for them, they never put a list together. They're 2 and 3 years into business, and they've never put their SOI list together. I'm here to tell you that if you don't do this, and you don't do it from the beginning, a pox will fall on your home. Just like to the Egyptians when he wouldn't let the Israelis go. Well, they weren't the Israelis then, they were the Israelites, but they wouldn't let them go, and so a pox fell on their home. A pox will fall on your home, and it's going to look something like this. What will happen is, I don't know, you'll be at the mall, or you'll be at some family gathering, and there's Cousin Bob. And you'll run up and you'll say, "Hey, Cousin Bob, how are you doing, man? I haven't talked to you for a long time." He says, "Oh, cousin, whoever you are, it's so good to see you." "Well, what's new in your life, Cousin Bob?" And he'll say, "Well, let me tell you about our new house. It is so cool. You know, it's way up there in the bench. It's got a beautiful view. We paid $700,000 for it. Oh, it is so cool. You know, as soon as we get settled in, we need to have you guys over for a barbecue." And then, you know, Cousin Bob kind of looks funny for a second. He says, "Well, wait a minute. Aren't you in real estate?" Yeah. And you know what? By that time, you've already been figuring in your head, $700,000. 3%, $21,000. "Yeah, you should have called me, Cousin Bob. Why didn't you call me?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, we just didn't think of you, because you didn't promote to them." You see, there's 2 things that are critical in this industry that you have to do from the beginning. And the first one is you need to change your identity. Changing your identity so that when Cousin Bob thought of you, he thought of real estate. And when he thought of real estate, he thought of you. You see, the problem is that Cousin Bob thinks of you as whatever you have been doing in the past. A nurse, a teacher, they make some of the best agents, by the way. Sales in another field, a failure in multi-level, whatever it was that he thinks of you, because that's all he knows. He didn't know you got in the real estate business. Or maybe it was mentioned to him, but it didn't build a new identity. In order to really build a new identity, you have to do these things so that you have at least 7 touches. 7 touches with Cousin Bob, and that will retrain his thinking so that when he thinks of real estate, he thinks of you, and when he thinks of you, he thinks of real estate. But if you didn't do those 7 touches in rapid succession, you can't stretch them out over 3 years. They've got to hit within like 60 days or so that impact changes your identity in Cousin Bob's mind. But that won't happen if you don't have the list. You have to put together the list. And this is mind-numbing, gut-wrenching, hard work. But you have to do it. Now, what do you need on this list? Well, the vast majority of the people on your list needs to be from your own market area. So if you're in a city or a county that you're working, they need to be there. Now, it's okay if some of that list is from outlying areas, maybe even other states. That's okay, because there is an opportunity after you have changed your identity in their minds, even though they live in a whole different state, that they will have a real estate need at some time in the future. And when they call you saying, hey, we want to sell our house and we know you don't live here, but do you have any advice? And you say, well, certainly. There are good agents and there are bad agents. Let me do some research in your market area and find you the best agent to sell your house. And then you find an agent in that market area and you get a 25% or so referral fee. So even people that are in outlying areas can be important too, but the majority of your list needs to be in your market area, because these are the people that will support you in the beginning. These are the people that if they knew that you were in real estate, they of course would have used you. They love you, many of them. At least they know you. And at least they've had some good connection with you. You're not a total stranger, and that's important. But you have to change your identity in their mind. But, of course, you have to have the list. And then what you get on this list is you get their names, you get their birth dates, maybe their anniversary date. You also need their email and their address. Now, what you're going to do with this list is the next step. This is step number 2 now. You're going to put this list in different social platforms. The first and most important one, of course, is Facebook. You need to have a Facebook account. Now, this can be a personal account or it can be a business account. You decide which way you want to go. It might be best to have a separate business account that just talks about business. On the other hand, many people feel that it's best just to combine them. You decide. But at least start somewhere. And if you already have a Facebook account, you might want to start there, because you want everyone friended on your list, on your Facebook account, so you can keep in touch with them. Now, the reality of life, and whatever other social platforms you use, like Twitter or whatever, make sure they're in those platforms. Now, the reality is not everyone on your list is going to be a Facebook or social media user. And that's why you need their email and you need their snail mail address. You have to have all of this, because you're going to vary up your campaigns depending on the individual. If you know they never look at Facebook, and well, it's no wonder they never knew you're in real estate. But you could send them postcards. I've got another whole program on that. But you could send them postcards that would let them know that you're in real estate. So that's how you're going to use the list. Now, in this step number 2, it's imperative. Now listen very carefully to me, please. The state that I'm currently working in, and most other states in the United States of America, have very strict laws against soliciting real estate business if you do not have a license. You cannot ask someone for real estate business if you do not have a current active real estate license. And in school, you don't have one yet. So you have to be very careful in how you phrase these initial touches with these individuals while you're in real estate school. Because that's what I want you to do. I want you to roll out your promotional campaign now, even though you're not licensed. But you have to be careful how you do it. And here's how you're going to do it. It's okay for you to send out a post, perhaps, or a short video saying, wow, you guys, I'm in real estate school. Let me tell you why. I've always loved real estate, and I love serving people. And so that's why I'm in real estate school, so that I can serve people and and do it in a real estate way. But not yet. I'm not licensed. But let me tell you what I learned today. You could tell them what you're doing. What you're doing is you're in real estate school and why you're in real estate school without asking them for their business specifically. Okay? So it would not be okay to say, and when I get my license, I want you guys all to use me. Do not say that. But you can say, today in real estate school, here's what I learned. I learned there's a difference between a mortgage and a trust deed. And here's the difference. Or I learned all about how to set up a trust. Or why trusts are set up. And that trust can actually own real estate. And there's different types of trusts. Wow, I'm learning so much in real estate school. I really, really like it. You can tell them what you're doing and how you're feeling about it without soliciting them for business. Do not ask anyone for business. And remember, once something's put up on the web, it's going to be there. And if somebody gets upset with you for soliciting when you don't have a license, like someone else maybe in your circle of friends who already has a license and, oh, they're cutting in on my territory, you know, they're going to turn you in and it's going to get nasty. Do not solicit business without a license. Do, however, tell people how excited you are about real estate school and what you're learning in real estate school. You know, what I learned today, what I learned about the market. You know, the market has done this and that in the last few years. Wow, I just love this field of real estate and never ask them for business until the day you're licensed. And then you roll out. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So you can announce that you're in real estate school. You can tell them what you're learning. You can tell them how you're feeling about it. And a little bit about why you're there. You love to serve people without asking them to serve them. So it's a fine line, but it's not that fine of a line. Okay, just stay way on the other side. Do not solicit business, but definitely tell them what you're doing. Now, some of you are afraid. Well, I don't want to tell them what I'm doing and I can't pass the exam. You will pass the exam. You know, if you're on my email list, you've been receiving other helps on getting through the exam. And if you don't know what that's all about, well, get a hold of me and I'll give you a Quizlet program that'll help you with the terms. I've got several videos that you can watch that'll help you with some of the more difficult topics. You know, you will pass the exam. Good grief, it's a C- on a multiple choice test. You're going to be okay. It's difficult and you've got to prepare for it, but you're going to be okay. So some people hide the fact that they're in school until they actually get the license because they're afraid they'll never pass the test. Don't do that. You know, you need to hit the bricks running. You can have a 2-month, maybe a 2-year head start on some agents if you do the 4 things I'm going to talk to you about today. Okay, so that's the first 2. Build a list and then start promoting to the list in a legal way by sharing your attitudes and the fact that you are in school, but you're not really soliciting business. You're just telling them you're in school, okay? You see, you don't want that pox to fall on your home. And if you talk to any experienced agents, they'll tell you a similar story. Well, yeah, I never did that list thing, and you know, finally I did it after I ran into my cousin Bob and found out I missed out on a $21,000 commission. I don't want you to have that experience. I want you to make the $21,000 commission. The third thing I want you to do is do a checkup on 2 areas. The one of them is look, these are very, very important. Your attitudes that you've carried throughout your whole life, some people call them self-limiting behaviors. Some people call them limiting beliefs. But the attitudes you have about these 2 topics could greatly affect your real estate career. I mean, they can actually push you out of the business. The first one is your attitude about money and your attitude about wealth. Please understand, you can make a lot of money in real estate. You need to bless a lot of lives and you'll make a lot of money. Bless lives, make money has always been my philosophy. But the real estate business is a business where it will put you in a position over a career to make several $1,000,000 in commissions. And will also put you in a position to find some phenomenal deals that you can invest in with others or just on your own and make several more $1,000,000. Do you understand that if you get in this career and you do it correctly, that you could change your life, your children's life, and your grandchildren's life? It can be generational wealth that you can make in this business. And why not you? Because you need to have that checkup on your attitude about money and wealth. If you have a bad attitude about money, money is evil, money is dirty, the people that got money did it because they cheated someone or took something from someone else. You need to fix that, and you need to fix it now. There's a lot of ways to fix it. The way that I like to fix it is with a breakthrough technology from Limitless. Limitless has a breakthrough technology, a process that will actually change your entire life. If you want to know more about that, get a hold of me. Talk to me. I'm easy to find. But your attitudes about money and wealth will be like if you have a bad attitude about money, a bad attitude about wealth, and you're dragging that around with you in career, you'll never make more than just, you might as well go work at something else that's less stressful, but also less rewarding, because you'll be happier there. You can fix these things. You can fix them in just a matter of minutes if you know how to do it. The other thing is you need to fix your attitude about sales. Many people have a bad attitude about sales, and a lot of this stems from your childhood. Dad comes home from work and mom says, hey, I invited this vacuum cleaner guy to come over and talk to us tonight. And dad just goes ballistic. Oh, those guys, they're just horrible and they're scum of the earth. And and you're sitting there as this 5-6-year-old child with your eyes big as mom and dad argue about the fact that a salesman's coming over, and you develop the attitude that salespeople are bad. Salespeople cause a lot of tension in a home. Salespeople make mommy and daddy fight. Salespeople must be really bad. Now you're getting licensed to be a salesman, and you have something called role aversion. It's a type of call reluctance that will prevent you from making sufficient amount of sales calls in order to sustain a sales career. You can't have this. Top producers don't have it. You can't have it. If you're thinking about your business cards and calling yourself a sales consultant or real estate consultant, eliminating the word sales altogether, you probably have a little bit of the sales role aversion. And guys, you can't have any of that. You need to really do some deep thinking about how you're going to bless lives, how you're going to help people, how you're going to be there when they make one of the most important decisions of their life, at least financially. Homes are integral to whether their families are happy, whether they have the space they need, whether they're safe. And they become one of the most important financial assets that a family has. And you're going to be there helping them with that decision, leading them through the path, getting them through the shark-infested waters. You're really going to bless lives. And are you going to be paid? Well, of course you are. You're impacting people on a high level. You deserve to be paid on a high level. You need to fix these two areas if you have bad attitudes, because I've seen them knock people out of their career. It doesn't have to happen to you. It's simple to fix if you get with someone who knows what they're doing. If you need help, call me. Okay, and then the fourth thing, you need to do a financial checkup as well. Now, we checked up our attitude about money and wealth and sales. Now you need to do a financial checkup. I want you to, if you need a new car or a newer car, go out and get one now while you have a real job. Now, wait a minute. Some of you are saying, well, what's your problem, Roller? I mean, my spouse is a neurosurgeon. He's a cardiologist, or she's a cardiologist. What do I have to care? I've got a $50 million trust fund. Well, if that's the situation you're coming from, if you've been very fortunate in life that way, then you don't need to worry about this, do you? But most people that get into real estate don't understand that they're fearful, and they understand it to some extent, but they haven't lived it yet. They're stepping into a full commissioned compensation plan. And if you don't sell, you don't make any money. And sometimes there's a little lag between the times the checks come in. So what I'm saying is, get ready for that. In other words, do a financial checkup, see where you are. I want you to call your credit card companies and up your levels on your current cards. Do it now while you have a real day job, okay? Because once you become a full commissioned real estate salesperson, in a banker's mind, you contracted leprosy or something. It's just not going to work for you. I mean, you can't go in and get a new credit card, and I would suggest you get a new credit card now while you still have a real job. Okay, if you don't have a real job, well, maybe the horse is already out of the barn. But do what you can and prepare financially. Now, there's other things besides just getting access to credit. And like, for example, you might look at your current home, if you own a home, and look at a bedroom or two that you might be able to rent out to someone, or do one of those vacation rental things off the internet, where you can kind of turn your room into a hotel room, kind of. And or there's other things you can do. You can look into becoming an Uber driver, perhaps, or other part-time work to help support you. Or perhaps if you have a spouse or a significant other, they could do the same. But the point is that when I got into business, I was essentially broke. I had a Volkswagen Bug, and I became Rookie of the Year and made it, and we never had money problems in any significant degree after I got going. But it took a lot of work, tons of hours, and you know, getting into real estate, folks, is like jumping into a crucible. If you have dross in you, it will burn it out. Either that or you'll get burned out of the business. You have to do difficult things that most people won't do. And you've heard the old adage, you know, you got to do golf carts. You've got to do what most people won't do, so that for the rest of life you can do what most people can't do. And you know, that there's truth to that. You know, the other thing is that on these 2 checkups, you know, we carry with us a lot of baggage, a lot of self-defeating behaviors. All adults do. I mean, it's just the way it is. And if you go back scripturally, the scriptures tell us that when you're an adult, you put aside childish things. And a lot of people look at that. You know, first of all, the scriptures have many meanings. And there's depth in the scriptures that is so beautiful. And the meanings can change depending on how your life changes. That scripture doesn't necessarily refer to the fact that you shouldn't play with blocks with your grandchildren or children, that you shouldn't be silly. That's not being childish. In the context of getting into the real estate business, that means putting aside those attitudes that you developed through your 5-year-old eyes when mommy and daddy were arguing about a salesperson. You see, put aside childish things. And as an adult, you look back, well, wait a minute, salespeople could be manipulative, salespeople could be somewhat slimy in one way or another, maybe. Could they? Or they could also be wonderful servants and helpers and blessing lives and making money. Put away childish things. Put away those attitudes that you develop, these self-defeating behaviors from, and put it away forever. Get rid of it. A lot of ways to do that. And why are we doing all these things? So that, turn my paper over here. Well, it's the title of this training, Hit the Bricks Running. I don't want you wandering around the office your first 2 weeks doing things you should have done when you didn't have a license, like choosing your first broker. Now remember, you only have one chance to choose your own broker, and I've got a whole training on that. So make it, you know, choose wisely. Choose a broker that specializes in getting new people up and going, and that you feel comfortable with. And that's going to be different for different people. Some people need regimentation, some people don't. Some brokers say, well, I have phenomenal training, but what it really is military style, like boot camp stuff, where you are demeaned and you are torn down so they can build you back up, like the Marines do, in order to build the warriors that our country so needs. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be nurturing. It can be empowering. I mean, you're adults now. And you just choose wisely. And there's a lot of brokers that say, well, look at my training calendar, it's wonderful. And you look at their training calendar and it's all full of volunteers. You know, this title company is coming in on this date, this bug exterminator guy is coming on this date, this, you know, that's not the kind of training you need. Yeah, those things are important to know in some respect. But the training you need is the training that will get you going and get you productive quickly. like we're talking about today. And I'm giving this to you as a gift. You need to do these 4 things, folks, so that when you get into business, you hit the bricks running. You see, there's a principle in life. I call it the 777 principle, because there's huge aircraft available today that the airlines are buying called 777s. And these aircraft are so huge and so heavy, and they use them for intercontinental flights. But the way they get those heavy, multiple ton aircraft off the ground, and there's like 3 tons, 4 tons worth of passengers and baggage alone in those things, is they go down to the very end of the tarmac and they lock up the wheels and they push that power forward, and the engines are screaming, and then they let off. They have to give it everything that plane's got to get it off the ground. Now, once they have rotated and that plane starts becoming airborne and it's climbing, and they get to the altitude where they're going to start cruising, they can pull back on that power. They can pull back on it to maybe 70%, 60%, because they're already up and going. When you get to your new office, you'll see experienced agents that are on cruise. They've been able to pull back their power, and in fact, in some cases, they pulled it back to 50%, and they're still making huge amounts of money, $20,000, $30,000 a month, many of them. How did they get there? To get their airplane off the ground, they had to give it full throttle, everything they had. You've got one chance to make this work. You know that. I've told you about it in some of my other trainings. If this doesn't work for you now in real estate, if 2017 is not your year when you get up there and you make it work, are you going to try it again in 2020? Are you going to go to your significant other or spouse and say, hey, guess what? That real estate thing, where I failed and we didn't make any money and we had to sell everything we had and we had to go bankrupt and we had to borrow money from your parents. I failed. Are you going to get another chance to do that? Probably not. You'll be walking away from one of the greatest professions and careers that's available to anyone today, because you make money in proportion to the amount of blessings you give other people. The more blessings you give, the more business you do, the more money you make. There's nothing like this. Don't mess it up. Hit the bricks running. This is Rick Roller, Principal Broker for Limitless Real Estate Brokerage in Orem, Utah. I have really been blessed with this business, and I've been able to bless a lot of lives, and you can too. So call me if you have questions or problems or things I can help you with. 801-556-8000. That's 801-556-8000. 8,000 operators are standing by. Actually, it's my cell phone, and I answer it myself. Talk to you later, and I'm going to go hit the beach.